In the quiet moments before dawn, when the world still sleeps and your mind has not yet been colonized by the endless stream of notifications, there exists a sacred space. It is here, in this silence, that you might catch a glimpse of who you truly are beneath the digital noise. But how often do we honor this space? How often do we allow ourselves to exist in the pause between sleeping and scrolling, between dreaming and consuming the carefully curated dreams of others? We live in an age of infinite distraction, where the most valuable commodity is not gold or silver, but attention itself. Every ping, every notification, every red badge on your screen is designed with surgical precision to capture and monetize the most precious resource you possess, your focus. We have become digital serfs in a feudal system we never consciously agreed to join, trading our mental sovereignty for the brief dopamine hit of a comment, a moment of validation from strangers who know nothing of our true struggles or aspirations. Consider this moment. You wake in the morning, and before your feet touch the floor, before you've taken a conscious breath or set an intention for the day ahead, your hand reaches instinctively for your phone. The device that was meant to connect us has become the invisible chain that binds us to a cycle of endless consumption. You scroll through feeds filled with the highlight reels of others' lives, their vacations and victories, their carefully filtered faces and manufactured moments of joy. Within minutes, you've absorbed the emotions, opinions, and energies of hundreds of strangers, and your day has already been shaped by forces entirely outside your control. This is the modern condition. Minds fragmented, attention scattered like leaves in a digital wind, constantly seeking external validation, while our inner world withers from neglect. We chase metrics that mean nothing, engagement from people who don't know us, approval from algorithms designed to keep us trapped in an endless cycle of wanting more. We have become addicted to the very thing that promises to set us free. But what if there was another way? What if 2,500 years ago, 3 men had already discovered the antidote to this modern madness? Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the ancient world, who chose philosophy over flattery. Seneca, who understood the corrupting nature of external validation better than any influencer ever could. Epictetus, who found freedom in the most literal chains and taught us that true liberation comes not from changing our circumstances, but from mastering our response to them. These were the Stoics, and their wisdom burns through the centuries, like a torch in the darkness, offering us a path back to ourselves, back to what truly matters, back to the unshakable fortress of our own minds. They lived in a world of different distractions, but they understood something fundamental about human nature that we have forgotten, that happiness, peace, and fulfillment cannot be found in the external world, no matter how seductive its promises. Might be Marcus Aurelius, writing in his personal journal that we now call the Meditations, never intended for his words to be read by others. He was simply a man trying to remind himself of what mattered, trying to stay centered in a world of constant pressure and distraction. You have power over your mind, not outside events, he wrote. Realize this, and you will find strength. How perfectly this applies to our digital age, where we have surrendered our mental sovereignty to the outside events of feeds, stories, and endless streams of information that add nothing to our character, our wisdom, or our peace. Imagine Marcus Aurelius faced with Instagram. Picture him, the most powerful emperor in history, presented with an endless stream of images designed to make him feel inadequate, envious, or distracted from his duties. Do you think he would have fallen into the trap of comparison? Would he have spent his precious hours he knew were limited and irreplaceable scrolling through the manufactured lives of others? The man who wrote Death smiles at us all. All a man can do is smile back, understood something we have forgotten, that time is the only true currency. And how we spend it determines not just our happiness, but our very identity. The Stoics taught us about the dichotomy of control, perhaps the most powerful concept for navigating our digital age. There are things within your control and things outside of it. The number of likes your post receives, the comments people leave, the way others perceive your carefully crafted online persona If these things are within your control, the algorithms that determine who sees your content, the way social media platforms manipulate your emotions to increase engagement, the endless stream of information designed to fragment your attention, all of this belongs to the realm of things you cannot control, but your attention, your values, your response to external events, the quality of your thoughts, the depth of your relationships, the books you read, the skills you develop, character you build in the quiet moments when no one is watching. These things belong entirely to you. They are your domain, your kingdom, your unassailable fortress. Yet how much time do we spend trying to control things outside our influence while neglecting the very things that are completely within our power? Seneca, the wealthy advisor to emperors, understood the seductive nature of external validation better than perhaps any other philosopher. He lived in the court of Rome, surrounded by the ancient equivalent of influencers and social climbers. People who spent their lives seeking approval from others while losing themselves in the process. It is a shameful thing to be weary of inquiry when what we search for is excellent, he wrote. But what are we searching for in our endless scrolling? What excellence are we seeking in the infinite feed of content designed to keep us perpetually dissatisfied? If Seneca were alive today, witnessing the way we compulsively check our phones for validation, the way we measure our worth in metrics and engagement rates, he would recognize it immediately as a form of spiritual poverty. He would see how we've become slaves to the opinions of people we've never met, how we've traded our inner tranquility for the chaotic energy of digital crowds. He understood that true wealth isn't measured in gold or followers, but in the richness of our inner life, the depth of our relationships, and the clarity of our purpose. Epictetus, born into slavery and eventually gaining his freedom through philosophy, offers us perhaps the most powerful perspective on our digital chains. He knew what it meant to be truly trapped, and he discovered that freedom isn't about changing your circumstances, it's about mastering your mind. No one can hurt you without your permission, he taught.
Ow!
Revolutionary this idea becomes when applied to social media. The cruel comment, the ignored message, the post that receives no engagement. None of these things can actually harm you unless you give them the power to do so. But we have given them power. We've created a world where our mood can be determined by strangers, where our self-worth fluctuates with our follower count, where our peace of mind is held hostage by the arbitrary whims of algorithms designed to maximize profit, not human flourishing. Epictetus would look at our digital age and see not technological progress, but a new form of slavery more subtle than physical chains, but no less binding. The Stoics practiced something called voluntary discomfort, deliberately choosing hardship to strengthen their resilience and reduce their dependence on external comforts. They would sleep on hard floors, eat simple foods, and spend time in solitude not as punishment, but as practice. They understood that by voluntarily embracing discomfort, they could free themselves from the fear of losing comfort. And in doing so, they found a deeper, more sustainable form of peace. A social media detox is the modern equivalent of voluntary discomfort. It's choosing silence in a world that profits from your noise. It's embracing the anxiety of disconnection to discover the peace of presence. It's trading the instant gratification of likes and comments for the deeper satisfaction of real accomplishment, genuine relationships, and authentic self-knowledge. It's recognizing that the discomfort you feel when you put your phone down and sit with yourself is not something to be avoided, but something to be explored, understood, and ultimately transcended. When you first attempt to disconnect, you'll encounter what the Stoics would have recognized as the protest of a mind accustomed to external stimulation. You'll reach for your phone dozens of times a day, feeling phantom vibrations, experiencing genuine anxiety at being cut off from the digital stream. This is not a sign that you should give up. It's proof that you need this practice more than you realized. Your mind, like a muscle grown weak from lack of use, simply remembering what it feels like to work again. The Stoics also practiced premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, imagining worst-case scenarios, not to cultivate pessimism, but to reduce their emotional attachment to things beyond their control. Applied to social media, this practice becomes powerfully liberating. Imagine your phone breaks and you can't replace it for a month. Imagine your accounts are deleted and you lose all your followers. Imagine no one likes or comments on your posts ever again. What would happen to you? Would you cease to exist? Would your relationships disappear? Would your skills, knowledge, and character vanish along with your digital presence? The answer, of course, is no. You would discover what the Stoics always knew, that your worth is not determined by external metrics, but by your virtue, your wisdom, your kindness, and your commitment to living according to your deepest values. You would rediscover the joy of reading without photographing your book for Instagram. You would remember what it feels like to eat a meal without documenting it, to watch a sunset without filming it, to have a conversation without thinking about how it will look online. Marcus Aurelius practiced memento mori, regularly contemplating his own mortality, not to become morbid, but to maintain perspective on what truly matters. "It never ceases to amaze me," he wrote. "We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." How perfectly this captures the paradox of social media culture, where we claim to be expressing ourselves, while actually conforming to the expectations of strangers, where we say we're connecting, while actually becoming more isolated, where we promise ourselves we're building our brand while actually dissolving our identity. When you remember that your time on this earth is limited, when you truly internalize the fact that every moment spent scrolling is a moment you'll never get back, the addictive pull of social media begins to lose its power. You start to ask different questions. Is this the best use of my precious time? Am I becoming the person I want to be, or am I becoming the person the algorithm wants me to be? Am I using technology, or is it using me? The path of the Stoic social media detox isn't about rejecting technology. Entirely, it's about reclaiming your agency in relationship to it. It's about moving from unconscious consumption to conscious choice. It's about transforming from a passive victim of digital manipulation into an active architect of your own attention and therefore your own life. Begin small, as the Stoics always counseled. Start with an hour each morning where you don't check your phone. Use this time to journal, to meditate, to read something that challenges your mind rather than flatters your ego. Notice how it feels to exist without external input, to be alone with your thoughts without immediately reaching for distraction. It's discomfort you feel is not emptiness, it's space. Space for your real thoughts to emerge, space for your authentic desires to surface, space for you to remember who you are beneath all the noise. Gradually extend these periods of disconnection. Create phone-free meals where you actually taste your food and engage with the people around you. Establish digital sunsets where screens turn off at a certain time, allowing your mind to transition naturally into rest rather than being overstimulated until the moment you fall asleep. Designate one day a week as a complete digital Sabbath, a time to remember what life felt like before everything was documented, shared, and measured. As you practice this digital discipline, you'll begin to notice changes that go far deeper than just spending less time on your phone. Your attention span will lengthen like a muscle being exercised after years of atrophy. Your relationships will deepen as you become fully present rather than half listening while mentally composing your abscess. Next post. Your creativity will flourish as your mind is no longer constantly consuming the creative output of others, but generating its own original thoughts and ideas. You'll rediscover the pleasure of boredom, that fertile state of mind that we've nearly eliminated from human experience. Boredom is where insights are born, where solutions emerge, where your subconscious mind has the space to process and integrate the experiences of your life. When every moment of potential boredom is immediately filled with digital stimulation, we rob ourselves of the very conditions necessary for wisdom and growth. The Stoics understood that virtue is not about grand gestures or public displays, about the small daily choices that build character over time. Choosing to put your phone down and make eye contact with your child. Choosing to read a book instead of scrolling through feeds. Choosing to sit in silence and reflect rather than immediately reaching for entertainment. These small acts of digital discipline are actually profound exercises in self-mastery, each one strengthening your capacity to choose your response rather than simply react to external stimuli. As you progress on this path, you'll discover what Marcus Aurelius called the inner citadel, that unassailable fortress of the mind that remains peaceful regardless of external circumstances. You'll find that your happiness is no longer dependent on notifications, your self-worth is no longer measured in likes, and your sense of connection comes from real relationships rather than digital interactions with strangers. This doesn't mean becoming a hermit or rejecting all technology. It means approaching these tools with wisdom rather than compulsion, using them to serve your goals rather than allowing them to determine your goals. It means understanding that the most rebellious act in our age of manufactured distraction is to pay attention, to be fully present to your life as it's actually happening, rather than as it appears through the lens of social media. The ancient Stoics believed that philosophy was not an academic exercise, but a way of life, a practical system for navigating the challenges of human existence with wisdom, courage, and integrity. In our digital age, their teachings become not just relevant, but essential. They offer us a way back to ourselves, a path toward genuine freedom in an age of digital bondage, a method for reclaiming our minds from forces that see us not as human, beings seeking meaning and connection, but as resources to be harvested for profit. Your attention is the most precious gift you possess. It's how you author your life, how you create your reality, how you love the people around you. Every moment you spend unconsciously scrolling is a moment of that gift wasted. A page in the book of your life left blank. An opportunity for real connection or growth or joy that slips away forever. The Stoics would tell you that freedom is not the absence of constraints, but the wisdom to choose your constraints consciously. Choose the constraint of digital discipline over the chaos of compulsive consumption. Choose the temporary discomfort of disconnection over the permanent suffering of digital addiction. Choose the narrow path of attention and presence over the wide road of distraction and dissipation. Your future self, looking back on this moment, will thank you for the courage to step off the digital treadmill and back into your real life. Your relationships will thank you for being fully present. Your mind will thank you for giving it space to breathe, to think, to create, to wonder. Your soul will thank you for choosing depth over breadth, quality over quantity, being over seeming. The path begins with a single step, putting your phone down and remembering that you are not your posts, not your follower count, not your digital persona. You are a conscious being with the power to choose where to direct your attention, and, therefore, the power to choose the quality and direction of your life. The Stoics knew this truth 25 centuries ago, and it remains as powerful today as it was in ancient Rome. The only question is, will you choose to live it?